What if that wasn't a meteorite? Maybe that was a demon.
Maybe a meteor is just the vessel that the demonic spirit
the
is
conduit.
attached to. It's like a shell that the demon's attached to when they enter into our reality. And that's why we call them falling stars. Those are the fallen angels. Whenever they fall, you see a shooting star drop out of the heavens. And like, that's the ironic thing, is when you wish upon a star, is like that they're literally telling you to make a deal with the devil.
What's going on, y'all? This podcast is brought to you by Modern Roots Life. Modern Roots Life is a Christian-owned and operated company, and it's bringing real health back to its roots. They offer powerful, all-natural health supplements such as beef liver, cod liver oil, beef tallow, magnesium, and mineral-rich salts, all sourced the way God intended. Clean, simple, and from the earth. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, restore mineral balance, or just fuel your family with real nourishment, Modern Roots Life has got you covered. Guys, in this community, we're trying to get healthy in our mind, in our body, in our spirit. So don't neglect your health. If you want more information, check out modernrootslife.com and check the link in my description. You know, people often ask me how they can support me. Well, I think it's pretty cool if you can support me by supporting the people who support me, and you get something in return. And being healthy is a pretty good return. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to JT's Mixtape. This is episode number 82. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you.
Come closer, my child.
Well, family, welcome back to JT's Mixtape. Once again, I'm your host, JT, and I've got the whole crew together today. We've got the Demon Eraser, Brian. What's going on, Brian?
What up? I'm alive. And I'm back.
Good. Every day above the ground is a gift from God. And it's a gift from God that we all get to come together to talk about crazy videos. And also we have Aaron, Tune Thy Heart. What's going on, Aaron?
What's up, y'all? Happy to be here, as always.
Yeah, so I think we've got kind of an eclectic show today. I don't know that we have any real theme, but I think that that's kind of be fun because we're going to maybe we're going to keep it fast and furious on this episode. We're not going to dwell too much on certain topics, but
I like that.
It's kind of spontaneous, but at the same time, who knows what we'll end up kind of setting on and resting on. So I have a follow-up video I wanted to play from last week because we did spend a lot of time talking about the potential that volcanoes, 536, the blotting out of the sun, the moon turning to blood, and maybe there was some kind of a connection with that in the mud flood because volcanic eruptions eject smoke, pumice, ash into the atmosphere, and then it comes down, and that's what is seen at Pompeii and Herculean. I would say that wrong. Herculean, is that right? And that's what covered these cities. So what if that's covered more than just these ancient Roman cities? What if this covered everything? And I found actually, really interestingly enough, I found actually a video that shows maybe a modern example of like what that looks like.
Here I am at Kilauea in Hawaii. It is erupting. You can see 1,000-foot eruption from the south vent, probably 800 from the north vent. And it is just raining tephra all around us. All these things falling from the sky are actually rocks that look like this. They're light, but they are sharp. They're like glass. And they do hurt, and we've all been cut up a little bit. Standing in this, there's really no way to avoid it. And look at the amount of lava coming out of this thing. Holy moly, what a spectacle.
casually.
Those
It's
things.
just raining sharp rocks. It's fine.
Yeah, it's like the dog meme. This is fine. This is fine. He's in the burning house. Yeah,
Those
so right. I mean,
things-
so am I
The-
onto something? I mean, is that possible? Like that was something that was taking place because when we talk about like this is like some kind of a constant eruption that happens in Hawaii that Hawaii's like famous for. But what if you combine it with like a situation like Mount St. Helens and something like that that was massive? So you have a mountain explodes, and then what else is coming down? So because obviously in that situation you had very particular sharp rocks, but it could have been anything got thrown up into the air and then just was raining down.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was like constantly gushing that stuff. And we talked about this, I think it was on the last mixtape, if not the one before it. But it's like, yeah, when scripture talks about it raining fire or pouring down fire, it's like it would make sense that if many volcanoes were going off at the same time, just like that, like it was literally raining down rocks where that guy was at. It was coming from the sky. So if you've got them going off at the same time in different places all across the world at once, I mean, because there's really no rhyme or reason as to the places that got melted.
Well, there was probably, but we don't really understand why. Like that some places seem to be pretty well preserved. But I guess maybe is it could have something to do with the vicinity to them to maybe an active volcano. Because not every place gets trashed by the lava or the fire. It gets trashed by the aftermath, the results, like the stuff about raining sediment coming down, the pumice coming down. So as Brian mentioned last week, that if you had rain afterwards, which you probably have horrible storms based on all this stuff going into the atmosphere, then it creates mud. And so some places before they got burnt up, they got covered. And then some places were maybe too close and they got totally melted.
Well, those rocks flying down just casually as he's picking them up. I mean, like some of that one rock was like pretty big. I'm pretty sure that one would have hurt if it hit someone. Like there was like the little ones were following. It's just kind of like, little pieces of flakes of glass or whatever hitting them. But like, dude, if it's a violent enough explosion, it's just going to keep dropping them and it's just exploding them into the air, And those things are falling down. They could be on fire. They could be little bits of lava that are raining down. It could just be like, I mean, it's exploding, shooting that volcano was shooting that up, and those were just little droplets that were getting launched in the air that were cooling from the air and then falling down. But like it could be shooting up big droplets or rocks. It could be blowing stuff out in the atmosphere. So like, who knows? Like, I mean, and it looks like wax melting too. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
mountains
So,
welded like Max. Or
Brian, you
mountains welded
probably
like
know
Max.
better than me because I know California seems like it has regular cataclysmic events. It has massive earthquakes. It has wildfires, but it also has like mudslides. Wasn't it not too long ago that they were having really issues with mudslides somewhere?
Probably. I don't know. Probably.
What is
one of the Bay areas?
Yeah, what causes the mudslides in these places? Because again,
it's just drought and water.
Yeah, well, we're talking about specifically in this instance because we do want to explain the fire from the heavens. Volcanoes make sense, but you're also talking about the worst tribulation the world's ever seen. So we're not isolating it to this one phenomenon. Like many things could be taking place at once when literally all hell is breaking loose. Like, so what is it possible that that mudslides happen at the same time?
Well, yeah, I would imagine. I mean, like if it's raining in a certain area, like, I mean, and even if it just rained afterwards, like, I mean, it's got all these fresh rocks and dirt and stuff falling out of the sky. And then all of a sudden, if it starts pouring down torrential rain, it's going to create another slide, another mud thing. I mean, the ground's shifting too. Earthquakes are happening.
Yeah, massive earthquakes
create mudslides. So, I mean, this is all recorded happening. So we're just seeing the leftovers of it. We're seeing the leftover tremors.
I thought it was really interesting, and I need to do more research about this. But I was reading in the American Antiquities book, it was referencing Pliny the Elder, this Roman historian, wrote about in Asia Minor, there was like an evening where there was this massive earthquake that literally cities fell into the ground. Like they were buried in like one night. Now, again, this is supposedly before 70 AD. This is supposedly like in the times of Tiberius, which is interesting because Tiberius was the emperor when Jesus was on the walked the earth. So, when is this timeline actually happening? Because a couple of the cities that he mentioned, I want to say was Ephesus, and it might have been Philadelphia. It was like three. It might have been Pergamum too. It was like three specific cities that are mentioned in the book of Revelation, and so that's what history would tell you is they rebuilt
swallowed?
these cities in the first century. But you're talking about these cities were like engulfed into the ground.
So
like
wait,
swallowed up.
Pliny the Elder said they got swallowed before 70 AD.
Yes.
That's perfect, though, actually, JT, because what does it say? It says it will be like birth pains. You'll see these things in various places like birth pains. And so all of a sudden, you're like, oh, yeah, there's Ephesus. Oh, wait, I mean, there's where Ephesus used to be. Like, and then what does the Bible say? Like, in Revelation, it says, like, it gives a warning to Ephesus, to the church of Ephesus, and to the other churches, right? And so it's like, maybe those warnings were like right then at that moment. And God just blotted them out.
I guess the only thing that I would say is that we're still going based on a timeline that we acknowledge might not be completely accurate.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
The best way for us to say it is like, of course, Jesus is born. Remember, like Michael Heiser said, around 3 BC, he was estimating. And then, they have the events of the Olivet Discourse being at 30 AD. And then, of course, we know the Jewish-Roman War, 66 AD to 70 AD. Now, a lot of people who are futurists say that Revelation was written in 95. Now, we don't believe that. But whatever the date was, we believe it was before the destruction of Jerusalem. But I do think it's interesting. You're right to point that out, is that some of the events that precede the destruction of the temple are wars, rumors of wars, great earthquakes.
Fires in various places.
When Jesus was crucified, there was a great earthquake that tore the temple veil. But we don't really, so that is, again, you wonder, was that isolated to Jerusalem, or was there a bigger earthquake that happened? Was this multiple aftershocks, earthquakes all around the whole?
Didn't it say wars, rumors of wars, floods, and famines in various places? Didn't it say earthquakes and fires in various places?
I don't know if it says floods, but I know that I wanted to ask Aaron about this because I think in the show Paradise, that what triggers this cataclysm that forces the people to go under the ground in Colorado, there was this super volcano that took place in Antarctica in the show. And this led to like tidal waves, like massive tsunamis covering places. So we know that God promised he was not going to destroy the earth by flood anymore, but it doesn't mean there wasn't tidal waves. It doesn't mean there wasn't mass destruction, because I think that that's something that you can kind of clearly see through ancient ruins. And even we mentioned that last week, we saw that video about Herculean, was that this guy was saying the coastline is not the same as it used to be. And there's lots of ruins that are found under the water. So it's clear that the continents have shifted, or the coastlines have changed.
Yeah,
since the Bible times.
Just look at all the different maps. I mean, 1500s maps as recent as 1600s show California as an island, completely separated by the Red Sea, mind you. But so to really quick, going back to what Brian was saying, Matthew chapter 24, verses 6 through 13, you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places.
And fires?
And all of these are the beginning of birth pains. It doesn't say fire specifically, but I mean...
But famines and earthquakes, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, earthquakes, obviously, famines and earthquakes. And if there's famines and earthquakes, I feel like it's not a stretch to couple earthquakes with volcanoes going off.
Or mudslides.
Yeah.
Right? You have a massive earthquake someplace, it displaces all the sediment, and it slides down over a town. And so so you could imagine some places, depending on the vicinity to, I guess, the center of the earthquake versus just the destruction that was caused later with the potential mudslides. Some places would be totally in ruins, and other places would have been covered in mud and dirt.
Yeah.
And that's why you can dig up. That's why they were digging up some buildings that seem very well preserved versus other places which is interesting. I always point this out, that those 7 churches that are mentioned in the book of Revelation, when they were excavated in the 1800s, yeah, they were all in ruins. They're like broken temples and stuff that were under the ground. Same thing about the unrepentant cities in Matthew 11, Capernaum, Bethsaida, and Chorazin. All those places had Roman ruins, like not well preserved, mud flooded buildings. You had absolutely destroyed things under the ground. So that's probably, to me, that's these great earthquakes. These are the earthquakes in various places.
Well, wasn't Herculaneum dug up too? Wasn't there parts of it that,
Yeah, that's what that video said, is that everybody focuses on Pompeii, but this other city had very similar instance where this guy was saying that 70 feet of sediment covered the whole place. And that's why he was saying that a lot of these old buildings, they have new roofs on them.
Yeah, they were all
because the
preserved.
roofs collapsed, but the rest of the building had remained.
Yeah, it was all preserved in Herculaneum. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. So like there was definitely earthquakes, we know that, and there was definitely, I mean, if a city's getting swallowed, that's obviously a massive earthquake. And if those are the warnings of the cities that God gave warnings to, and those are the ones that he said, I'll put your light out, you know what I mean? Like the warnings he gives to the cities. And you're like, okay, like, and those are the ones that are getting swallowed right before the big swallow comes, before the big destruction hits, you know? Like, I mean, it's kind of seems pretty fitting. Like maybe Pliny the Elder knew something that we were.
Well, you know what? I was messing around. Of course, like I said, I don't trust the timeline, but I was asking, okay, so when did Pliny the Elder supposedly live? And I think he lived either late 1st century or maybe early 2nd century, we're told. And so he's the historian that documents this event. Why doesn't Josephus document this event? And I was asking, I said, why isn't somebody who is living at the time this takes place documenting the event? So it's like, that's what it seems to be in a lot of these historians, is like they're documenting events that they don't actually live through. Now, Josephus lived through the Jewish-Roman War, as we're told. But why has this been written about by somebody who's not there? Like, you would think that this would be a big deal. I mean, because Asia Minor, very important part of the Roman Empire. Like, this is literally where, like, the corridor between, like, the Mideast, Africa, and Asia is. It's a big deal that there's 12 cities got swallowed up into the earth. And so who wrote about it? Some guy 50 years later wrote about it.
That is weird. Because he would have had to have been, like, what, a baby when this happened, maybe, potentially?
Well, no, supposedly he lived after this. So it'd be like us writing about, like one of us writing about World War II. And like, we're like the main historian about World War II. When you're thinking like, well, why didn't anybody else write about it before then? Like, why would somebody who was born 30 years after the war ended, why would this be the main go-to historian to document this event?
Because everybody else died.
Probably because the timeline's messed up and maybe they don't even know. But I got one more volcano video and then we can move on. I thought this was interesting just because another volcano that's happening right now. And as I mentioned, it is kind of spooky, and it is a little bit sus that of all the things they try to scare us about, they don't scare us about a potential event where a volcano erupts and blots out the sun and causes, mass death and starvation and famines and all this stuff. Check this out. This is a really interesting video.
So right now on the 25th of May of 2026, the Banyan volcano in the Albay province in the Philippines is currently erupting. And while there were people recording videos of this volcano eruption happening, there was a meteor that dropped right out of the sky right near Banyan volcano. The event was captured on video at 10:33 p.m. local time. And it literally looks like something out of a Superman film or something, like kryptonite flying out of the sky. Now, just to be clear, it didn't actually hit the volcano, but it looked like it was very close to it. Here, take a look. We'll watch it again. There it is. That's so freaking cool, man. That's pretty cool.
A meteor, he says, huh? A
meteor? A fallen angel.
That was Megatron.
Yeah, or a direct energy weapon. I mean, I wouldn't count on that having come from
Well, who knows what it
outer
was? I mean,
space.
that's really interesting. You know, I can't remember if
But
we
like,
talked about this on the podcast.
Let's make
but
it bigger volcano.
Wasn't it
Like,
picture
shoot a
perfect
launch-
though? But hold on though, wasn't it picture perfect? And
Yeah.
that volcano was like perfectly triangular. It was picture perfect. Like they were all set up for it, and then the thing came down. It was almost as if they expected it.
Well,
I
I
don't
mean, to play the side that this is legitimate. I mean, all this stuff could be fake. I mean, I'm aware that this could be not 100% of that video could be like there might even be an active volcano. Who knows? But to play the side that it's real, it's like, well, they probably would have had constant video of this volcano erupting because it's kind of
No, I get that.
It's cool in itself, so they might have caught some secondary event that took place at this volcano.
The only thing that seemed like it could be fake to me was that green beam coming down. And when I say fake, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying it wasn't a meteor.
Okay,
Well,
so
you know
it
what?
could have been like they launched some kind of green rocket to try to explode the mountain even more, to try to erupt it more.
Right, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Yeah, that's what
Well,
I'm
no, but you know what?
saying.
I can't remember if we talked about this on this podcast. I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the Ancient Roots of Life podcast with Josh. That I think it's the Pirates of the Caribbean at the World's End. Did you ever see that, Aaron? Brian?
It's been a long time.
Well, they mentioned this phenomenon. I actually looked this up because this is like
It's a green
this
light.
is
at the end.
supposedly an actual thing that happens in some of these mythologies. Is that there's like this green flash event, and when this green flash event happens, there's like somebody from the other side, like the underworld, or somebody crossed back over into like the land of the living. Because you remember, because
That's
the
funny.
story goes is pretty interesting. They go take the boat through like the North Pole or something, right? They go through the Arctic, and then eventually they get to like the world's end where like the water's coming off. You know, it's like it's literally falling off, like a kind of almost like the comical depictions of flat Earth, where like the water is just falling off the edge. They go down, and eventually they have to go upside down. Like they have to shift the boat upside down to come up on the other side, and this is where Jack Sparrow's living in the land of the dead. And so I think when they eventually bring him back, yeah, there's a green flash for him because he came back into the land of the living.
Have you ever seen the green flash? I've seen him before.
Mm-mm.
Like, so when you surf on the West Coast, because you're literally in the water when the sun sets,
Mhm.
and I lived out there for a short time and surfed back then. I wasn't very good, but I tried anyways. And I remember seeing it a few times. It's not like super common, but it's not that rare. But yeah, it's like right as the sun's setting, and it just barely crosses the threshold of the horizon, and it's like as soon as it like crosses over and you can no longer see it, like in that moment, like there's just like a really quick like green flash. It's crazy.
I've never
So
seen that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Who
I've
knows
seen
what
I've
came
seen a
over?
green-
What came back over to this side?
Jack Sparrow, of course.
Duh, obviously, yeah. No, I have seen a green meteor though. Like I've seen that the way the meteor looks green. I've seen that once before, so I know that those are actually that's what they look like sometimes. It was wild when I saw it too, because it shot across like a half of the sky, and I was like, "What the heck was that?" And it was green. It was super green.
Could have been an airplane turd.
I guess.
What a frozen one. You know what? I want to say that I made a video about
Mhm.
this a long time ago. Maybe I can dig this up. It was somewhere up in the northern hemisphere where there was, where you get the aurora borealis effect, but it was like this thing that almost looked like a portal. It looked like a spiral thing. Do you remember when that happened, Brian?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
When it dropped really low, you mean?
Let me see if I can find the video.
Dude, ever since I was a little kid, the aurora borealis, the North Pole, like there's something about it that's just so fascinating to me. I've always been drawn to it. I've had dreams about it since I was a little kid. It just like something in my heart like yearns to be there.
I've kind of wanted to go there too, actually, just to
Man,
see that. Just
so
to see
bad.
that.
I found the
wanted to go
video.
there, too.
Check this out. Whoa. Did you guys see what was in the sky on Saturday night in Alaska? What is that swirly thing? Apparently they're saying this was caused by a SpaceX rocket that had to expel some excess rocket fuel, and it's all completely normal. Well, it really doesn't look normal to me because I've never seen anything like that before. Could that really be what it was? Excess rocket fuel? Apparently that's what Don Hampton, space physicist of the University of Alaska Fairbanks, says. Sometimes rockets have fuel that needs to be jettisoned. When they do that at high altitudes, that fuel turns into ice, he said. And if it happens to be in the sunlight, when you're in the darkness on the ground, you can see a sort of a big cloud. And sometimes it's swirly. Okay, sometimes it's swirly. Interesting. Do you have any other examples of that there, Don? Because I've never seen anything like it. And if you've seen anything like it and you got pictures of that, hit me in the comments. But yeah, I don't know what to say about it other than, hey, that's weird. I guess keep your eyes out and keep your phones handy because there's a lot of things in the sky we can't identify lately, aren't there? Yeah, things continue to get weird, don't they? Yeah, stay prayed up.
I don't know, man. I think I remember a lot of people saying that it's Project Green Beans. You know, because
Project Green Beans.
Because
is that the offshoot of Project Blue Beam?
Yeah, because it just looks so perfect. It looks so perfect. But I mean, yeah, it obviously looks like a portal, whether it's real or whether it's not real. Like that looks like a portal, man.
You know what I think is interesting is when they were able to predict that the aurora borealis will drop down super low, which it did.
Right. Yeah, they knew it was going to go all the way down to it probably went further south than this, but I want to say it went down to like Georgia. Was that right? I know at least North Carolina, but I think it went down to Georgia as well.
Oh, it went
down to Georgia. But it's super interesting because it dropped like super low, and you know they were doing some I guess some machine radio waves, massive radio wave seismic things that was causing that reaction is what else was going on. Somebody else,
a lot of people were saying
talking about it. Yeah, it was like HAARP. It was some other thing they were doing though that they were testing at the same time while this was happening. And it's super interesting because it's like, you know, I don't know if you recognize, but like clouds, you guys ever seen the lenticular clouds where it looks like it's repeating, those repeating cloud patterns?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Guys, those don't exist. Those did not exist when we were children. Okay. Those repeating cloud patterns.
Yeah, that's a frequency thing.
That's due to radio frequencies in the atmosphere. So many of them that they're rippling through the atmosphere and it causes the clouds to break apart with that repeating pattern. That's what that is. You can literally look into it and they try to hide it, but they don't necessarily deny it. It is exactly like that repeating patterns of clouds. If you ever see them, that's from so many radio waves in our upper atmosphere. That's what that's from.
Yeah, that's
well, I know that. I mean, again, that's what HAARP is supposedly has something to do with the ionosphere. So if they are putting radio waves out there, yeah, it makes perfect sense that frequency would affect the way the clouds form and deform, right? If you have all this frequency in the air, because of course water molecules, as we've shown with the cymatic patterns, of course they're going to be affected by that.
Well, if you're constantly doing that and it's breaking the clouds apart to vibrate them into like thin thing, you can cause a drought in an environment, which is what happened in Iran after they blew up the radio station, and suddenly Iran started getting rain again.
I did hear about
fascinating.
That. Well, you know, that some people, and again, this is a conspiracy. This is alleged. We don't know if this is true, but some people have shown that some of these maybe Doppler areas, like where these storms like do not go into, and they like literally like repel off certain areas, where people have speculated that maybe somebody is affecting where these storms actually go and where they do not go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you look into what HAARP was created for and where they've been based out of and what I don't know. I don't know why that was ever censored, because like they didn't hide what they were doing. They didn't hide what they were created for and the technology that they invented. And they've been doing that since the 90s, 80s.
I'm not
90s?
sure exactly how long they did that, but it is interesting. In that video that I made, I referenced this guy, Don something from Fairbanks, Alaska, some kind of observatory there. Isn't that where HAARP is located?
Yeah, that's where. So allegedly, if I remember correctly, they've abandoned that base now. Like that's not an official HAARP base anymore.
we don't do anything over there again. Don't even
Right.
don't even
Right.
bother. It's fine.
Right. Like who takes that over, right? Like they turned it into schools or something. I don't know. But so they're obviously still using it for something, but they allegedly aren't there anymore. But they've got places all across the United States and all across the world where they operate those places. But yeah, it's all so obvious. There's a never mind. I'm not gonna.
No,
not
you know
gonna
what's
go off on a
interesting though? Let's go back to that meteorite, the green meteorite. As we're doing on the other podcast, me and Josh are going through the Testament of Solomon, which is, again, not necessarily, I wouldn't say that it's for sure scripture, but it's very interesting. And so in this book, if you guys have not been following along, Solomon is commanding all these demons and he's asking them lots of questions. And we haven't got to this in our study yet, but this is a teaser for the future. That there's at one point Solomon starts talking to this demon, and he's telling him like basically where shooting stars come from. And it's like the demons are like, this demon is claiming that they are the shooting stars. And it sort of makes sense a little bit that if their fathers are the stars, they're the angels who are fixed and they're up in the firmament. These demons have, I guess, some kind of a divine ability, but they can't stay. So they shoot across the sky. So what if that wasn't a meteorite? Maybe that was a demon.
Well, I've told you this before. I've had this theory that for the spirits, this is a weird one. For the spirits to come into this reality, they have to have a vessel. And so the vessel oftentimes can be like demons can go into rocks, they can go into stones, they can go into crystals. Why couldn't they go into a meteor? And so maybe a meteor is just the vessel that the demonic spirit is attached to. Yeah, it's the ocaterium, it's the vessel, it's the holding thing. It's like a shell that the demons attach to when they enter into our reality. And that's why we call them falling stars, because they're fallen angels. Those are the fallen angels. Whenever they fall, you see a shooting star drop out of the heavens. And like that's the ironic thing is when you wish upon a star, is like that they're literally telling you to make a deal with the devil. That's what that is. Wishing upon a star is making a deal with the devil, and you're wishing to a fallen angel. This is where we get the idea of the three wishes. If you find a jinn, a genie, right? The three wishes. Again, that's making a deal with the devil. It's like you come across a demon, they give you what you want. And so it's like, this is the Faustian bargain, right? So, but it's like, that's all of it's connected. And when you start to see it like that, it's like, dude, that's the demon. Like, I think that is its vessel. I think those are how they get in here. And I think if you were to touch the meteorite, the demon probably will attach to you.
I can get behind that because the meteorites are metallic, and they actually like there are jewelers out there that make jewelry out of it, and it's like it's got these metal strands in it. It's very bizarre.
Well, and what did the fallen angels teach men? Metal. They taught them metallurgy.
Yeah,
and you got to see.
And again, the Transformers, dude. Like it all makes sense. No, but for real,
you know, the Transformers.
You guys are setting me up. You guys are setting me up perfectly because I want to talk about this, but I don't want this to be a me-centric show. But I actually do have a video talking about that. Exactly what Brian was talking about. I
mean, it is JT's mixtape.
Yeah, when you wish upon a shooting star. See if I can find that video.
Here, I'm going to show you guys this thing too. There's this app. It's called My Radar, and it's so cool. You can see weather patterns in live time, and you can zoom in, and you can see where the wind is moving. It's not like something you can really see on the phone, obviously, and it's all like multicolored, and it like breaks it all apart. It's such a cool app to see the way the wind is like moving over a certain area. And you can like see it like flowing, and it's really cool app if you want to like watch.
They look like spirits.
Wind direction. Yeah, it does. It totally looks like some kind of like little people's spirits floating away or something.
Like you got us on the edge of our seats, JT. What do you got for us?
Found the video. It's only been 2 seconds as far as the audience knows.
You guys ever heard this famous nursery rhyme? Starlight, star bright, the first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might, have this wish I wish tonight. Of course you have, everyone's heard that one. But you know where that comes from? Let's start with the Bible that makes a clear connection between stars and angels. The principalities are often associated with stars. And if you go into the Apocrypha, the Wisdom of Solomon has something even more specific about them. In this book, Solomon controls and talks to demons, specifically a demon named Beelzebul. In the Testament of Solomon, Beelzebul appears as the prince of demons. Beelzebul claims to cause destruction through tyrants, to cause demons to be worshipped among men, to incite priests to lust, and to cause jealousies in cities and murders, and to bring about war. Seemingly, Beelzebul is also synonymous with Lucifer, and says he was formerly a leading heavenly angel who was associated with the star Hesperus, the normal Greek name for the planet Venus. Now what's interesting about this is Venus is the brightest star in the sky. In fact, it's the third brightest thing you'll see in the sky besides the sun and the moon. So if you wish upon the first star you see tonight, it's very likely you're wishing upon Venus, the prince of demons. So despite what Disney says, don't wish upon stars, it's demonic.
Well said. Well said.
So yeah,
Yep.
I made a video about that.
Mhm.
And now as we talk about that, I wanted to transition to what Aaron just brought up about specifically about Transformers. And we've brought this up on this podcast several times, but there is some kind of weird connection, as Brian said, that it's like these spirits have to be tethered to some kind of physical thing. And so when you talk about metallic objects falling from the sky, I want to say there's a famous mythology about King Tut getting this knife that was formed from some kind of
Meteorite.
some kind of an alloy that fell from the
Mhm.
sky, and they made a knife from him.
There's
So,
also
yeah, you
one
think
in,
about that
there's
with
one
the
in
idea that-
Aztecs like that. The
What's that?
Aztecs, I think the Aztecs had one like that. It had like a meteorite knife that we found or something that they used.
Yeah, so there's
Mhm.
something about
Oh.
that certain alloys do seem like the way that the ancients talked about them, they were connected with the heavens. Isn't it even, isn't it kind of almost similar that what the science says that gold is really not from Earth? It came out from some other place, like from a sun or something. It came from the sun or something like that. Is that true? Or am I making that up?
That what came from the sun.
Gold.
No, yeah, there's a theory to that too as well. Like I think the Aztecs or something somewhere in South America had some connected theory to that.
I actually just recently saw a theory about that blew my mind. I was going to play the video, but I didn't agree with everything he said in the video. But I just saw a video yesterday or the day before where there's a word for the blood of the fallen angels, not the Nephilim, but the actual fallen angels. And evidently this specific word, their blood was goldish and it sparkled. And so the belief is that all of think about it, they call them gold veins, and they find these veins of gold, and that's what they are. They're literally veins of gold. Like when they find a pocket of them, they follow them, and they have the most weird patterns of gold. And there are sections of mountains that look very peculiar, and they mine these exact sections for decades, sometimes a couple of centuries. They're just constantly mining these areas and pulling out gold. So I had never heard that theory until just a couple of days ago. I was just like, wait.
Well, that's interesting because that's sort of the direction I wanted to go, because Aaron and I have watched that show Foundation on Apple TV. And so one of the main characters is this Demergel, and her former name was Danielle or something like, or Danelle. And so, you're getting the L connections with the Book of Enoch, that her name ends in EL, L being Elohim. And so she's the last of her race of these super advanced robots. And at some point there was a war between humanity and these robots. And she was telling this story to this one woman about how when they killed all these robots, like their blood ran. And I don't know if she said it was gold specifically, but they were in this kind of maze type garden. And in the middle of this garden was this tree. Of course, it was an apple tree. And one of the apples on the tree, the woman was going to pick to eat. And she's like, no, they're actually poisonous. So whatever the robotic blood was came down, and it helped this tree. It changed the apples to like a gold or green color.
But she was essentially an AI robot. I mean, quite literally. She was a sentient robot. But yeah, that gold connection is I don't remember that. But
Doesn't in Thor he like cuts the throat of the the god's throat, and in that Thor thing,
Are you talking about the
Christian
last
Bale?
horrible Thor: Love and Thunder, where Christian Bale's character is like the god killer?
Yeah, and he like cuts
he
the
clearly
dude's
kind of
throat and
kills
he
some kind of
pours out
god
blood.
that is probably a blasphemous version of our God in the garden.
Yeah, but doesn't he like pour out gold blood when he slits his throat or something?
I'm not sure. I don't remember
I think
that,
he
but
does.
you could be right about that.
Or it could also be that movie where the Egyptian people, where they're fighting, the Egyptian gods were fighting, and you know they were all like had those robot things they would turn into or whatever, and they were like, one guy gets his eye plucked out. You've referenced that movie. I forget what it is. Something like.
Are you talking about Stargate?
It's like Stargate, but it's like these Egyptian gods they're fighting.
The gods of Egypt?
That one, the gods of Egypt.
Okay.
Isn't their blood gold too in there?
I think so. But check it out. So here's Demergel. So this is kind of I guess because Foundation's based on a book. And so, yeah, like this is a representative of her. And I thought it was really interesting because we've made the connections with the way that Demergel in the show, she's more than just a robot, because there's some kind of a cult that worship these robots. Because she seems more like an angel that's influencing these emperors. Because she's not like us, she's actually more powerful than us. She's lives for forever if nobody destroys her. Right? Something like that. And so I was bored once again. I'd like to put on movies sometimes just to put some white noise on just to go to sleep. And I watched a pretty crappy Marvel movie that just has a lot to it. The movie The Eternals. And there was one scene in particular in that movie that was kind of weird because the Eternals very clearly in that story, if anybody's paying attention, who are the Eternals? The Eternals are angels. They have this god character that sends them down, and they're supposed to fight deviants, but they're supposed to kind of steward humanity along, but not interfere. Yeah, they're
the rulers of Earth for
they're the
quite
watchers.
some time.
Even in the show, they don't even hide it. They highlight the fact that eventually they're worshipped as gods in all the places they were. So clearly that's what that they are. But the one thing I kind of forgot about this was, and sorry guys on YouTube, this will probably only make the Patreon cut, not because there's anything wrong with it, but copyright reasons. This will be part of the movie about kind of the scene I'm talking about.
This is your true home, Circe. The World Forge. It is here that I built and programmed the Eternals.
Everything dies except us. Because we are never alive. Why don't I remember any of this?
Because your memories are erased and reset after each emergence. They are stored here.
Why do you keep them?
I keep them in order to study the deviants. I created the deviants, Circe, for the same purpose I created you. Every celestial host planet has its own predators. I first sent the deviants to exterminate them, so intelligent life could grow. But there was a flaw in their design. They evolved, became predators themselves, and I lost control of them. I built and programmed you, Eternals, to be synthetic beings and incapable of evolution.
Well, anyways, you get the idea. So they're shown to be like some kind of super advanced robots. So, of course, obviously in the Transformers, we talk about the connection between Megatron. His name is very clearly, like the
Metatron.
etymology, Brian, it's Metatron, right? That's like, obviously that's where they're going. And if you do look into the, I mean, they I guess they don't really hide it in the movies, because even one of the Transformers movies is called Revenge of the Fallen. These things fall to Earth, and they have mythologies. They come from a different world. They have prophecies that they're trying to fulfill. The character, I want to say that their god character in it is called Primus, and they have like on the yin and the yang would be like, so the Primus is the good one, and then they have Unicron, and Unicron is like the world devourer, and so he sends out his horrible, let me see, Unicron. Like the way that he's depicted is he's even got wings, like he's a massive fallen angel.
What was the name of the planet that they were from again?
Cybertron.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, like Unicron's got horns and he's got wings.
Yeah, he does. It's interesting.
Like are they're telling you without actually telling you.
Yeah, I mean, they can't make it any more clear.
And obviously they're not just robots because they're sentient. They have thoughts and feelings and all the things. They feel pain. But it is interesting, like the way that it kind of actually makes a little sense, like that angels almost do seem a little robotic, even when they interact with people in the Bible. Now they're just like very matter of fact, right? Like they're not messing around. They're not really having in-depth conversation with them. They even kind of, when angels show up, like in Second Esdras, was it Uriel that Esdras is talking to? And Esdras asks him all these questions, and he's like, why do you want to know this? They do the same thing in the book of Enoch. Like, why are you asking this, Enoch? Like, why do you even know? And then in Esdras, the angel's basically saying, well, can you weigh the fire or the wind, measure the wind, weigh the fire? Do you know how many entrances to the deep or hell are in the ocean? And he's like, the answer is obviously like that. It's almost like he's alluding to the idea that you're too limited to even ask these questions. Don't even bother. Like, you can't even understand this stuff.
Dude, the correlation between like what Brian was saying with them needing something to attach to fall down, that definitely makes sense. They've got to be able to possess something. They've got to attach to something. They have to. And then like the Transformers, and then like you talking about Demerzel in Foundation, and like she was the last one. And there were people that still worshipped them, and there was a whole cult following for them. Like they even worshipped the relics. They worshipped like old relics of these things.
Yeah,
and
the tools that they used to fix themselves, and then they
dude.
had an old skull of one. It almost gave me vibes of like the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Crystal Skull mythologies from South America.
Well, and
now I know that a lot of those crystal skulls are probably not real, but of course, then you get into like the Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. These crystal skulls were the skulls of aliens, and they were like elongated ones.
Well, what was creepy about it too is that the follower, I don't remember the names or what they were called, but like the people that were in this cult that worshipped these AI robotic sentient beings, they didn't worship them in like, it was known that mankind destroyed these things because they were against society. Like they turned on society.
Well, it was interesting, like what they were saying about it, because like Demerzel, they were programmed not to hurt people. Like that was like their first law that they had. But then it was like they sort of had evolved because they weren't supposed to. It was almost like they could hurt people to prevent them from hurting other people.
Right.
So, but
Right.
doesn't that sound a lot like almost like Watcher-ish, right? Where like they're really not supposed to do like they can't really they're not supposed to directly affect people, but
But
they're supposed to steward over them. They're supposed to protect them.
the part that
Yeah.
I found creepy though was that the people that still worshipped them, they were they did it in secret. They kept it from everyone. Like no one knew. Like that was a side of them that like they didn't reveal to anyone. And they had, do you remember there were secret signals that they used to show each other? There was like hand motions and stuff that they would do to motion to each other to let them know that they were followers of that of whatever that cult was called. It's just so many strange parallels to our actual reality.
What
Yeah,
movie
and
was that? And that was the same. That was the Eternals movie.
No, that was the show
No.
Foundation. So that this
Okay.
this is very clearly saying this is a robot, but it's something else. And eventually there's this talk about how that they can connect, like that they're all these robots were connected. I forgot what it was some kind of mind meld where they connected together. So it was just kind of like, I don't know. But here's another one is that I never really watched this show, but I was looking up some of these other ones. And in Battlestar Galactica, they had these things called the Cylons. And the Cylons were like robotic angels in that. Like spiritual beings that were robots.
Hmm.
Yeah, dude.
And then of course
Interesting.
even the Celestials themselves in like the movie The Eternals, they're shown to be like Asherim, who is their god, who is their creator, very clearly resembles like a giant robot. Here's what the Celestials look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, I mean, I think it's weird. I mean, I'm not saying that the angels are robots, but they're for some reason they're always depicted as robotic. Maybe not always, but it seems like a common theme. Even a movie like The Matrix, where the agents are like angels, right? These agents can shift in and out of this thing, and then they're way more powerful than humans. Humans cannot move like them within the Matrix.
Well,
That's
they're
why you kind of
beings that
wonder, like,
have.
and that's where you get into like the idea that Aaron is often focused on this. I think Brian as well. That the tech we get, where does the tech come from? Where does this super advanced technology that we have? And then you think about AI, you think about the ghost in the machine. Elon Musk says that AI is summoning the demon.
Mm-hmm.
It makes perfect sense. Like you said, from the very beginning, the book of Enoch, even I want to say, even into the book of Genesis, it mentions what was it? Tubal-Cain was he the first one who was a smith, or was somebody who could work with metals? Or was it just Tubal? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Tubal-Cain could. Yeah.
Yeah, he was into metallurgy. So like, where did he learn that from?
Well, he worked with instruments and made instruments and stuff. It said. Yeah,
he was like the original.
He obviously learned that from the fallen angels, and because Tubal-Cain was the son of Lamech, the bad Lamech, and it was like, and they brought about basically the destruction of the world through making their unions with this information. And then what ended up happening was God sent Noah, the son of the other Lamech, to flood the earth and reset everything.
Yeah, there's just no way that, like, when they reference, let me see where it says that so we can get the exact verse about that. But it's like, for some reason, the Bible makes note that this one man worked with metal. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah,
It's right
Tubal-Cain.
here. And it mentions his mom, which is interesting because it's like, typically, if you read the genealogies, the moms are not often referenced. But right here, it mentions that. So this is,
It says Lamech had 2 wives. The name of one
okay,
was
so this is
Ada and
Genesis.
Zillah.
Yeah, this is Genesis chapter 4, verse 22. Zillah also bore Tubal-Cain. He was the forger of all instruments of bronze and iron. The sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Oh, no, it mentioned, well, yeah, well, it's Zillah bore, yeah, so it mentions his mom and it mentions his sister. So, yeah, the book of Enoch mentions the one fallen angel, Azazel, is the one who taught people the working of metal and instruments of war and things.
Well, I mean, when I think about that, I think of Godzilla, because God and his mom's name is Zilla, is the one who brought forth Tubal-Cain, who brought the union of the angels and man, and basically brought the destruction of the world. So Godzilla, kind of funny,
Interesting.
fits into that sort of connection there.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found that interesting because I don't know how many times I've seen that in the movies, that these robots from outer space are not really just robots. There's something entirely different. You know, even like, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, dude.
No, I actually, don't worry about what I was going to say. It was
No,
nothing.
please keep
No,
going.
nothing. It was a place that was going nowhere.
Come on. Okay, I feel horrible now. All right, well, I found that video that I was telling you guys about. It is fascinating. He goes a little sideways in a couple parts, so just ignore that. But a couple of things that he says is amazing. There's actually a name for this gold.
Angel blood. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. I just learned about this. It's called Iker. This is the blood that was talked about with the Greek gods. And the Greek gods, just for your own information, were just the fallen angels. They just rebranded themselves for the time that was going on. That's what they do throughout history. Whatever's convenient at the time and what's going. Right now, they're the athletes and the actors. But I'm going to talk to you about the Iker blood. This is golden blood. This is the blood that out of angels, out of Nephilim, out of all the animals that they decided to stick their DNA into, which was called miscegenation. It was the first form of DNA manipulation. This was in the book of Yasher, in the book of Jubilees, and these books are very important. The books that are removed for a reason, so you don't have the information I'm trying to share with you. Go look it up, miscegenation. But right behind me is a clear proof that it happened. It is a giant baboon.
They've been mining that mountain for roughly 136 years and it still looks like a baboon. Come on now. If you don't see that, you really just don't want to see that. What?
Go look at it on Google Earth. It is a head. They pull more gold out of this mine than anywhere else in the world. The reason being is because of the Iker blood that is in that petrified giant. And let me give you a little bit of information on petrified. People are like, how did they...
Okay, so anyway, yeah, it's called Iker blood, evidently. So, not to be confused with Shilajit, which is what I believe is the blood from the Nephilim, which they can only find at the very top of mountains, and they still have no idea what it is, but it's a super nutrient that contains all of the minerals and vitamins one could ever want in a black, gooey tar substance that oozes out of the ground in the Alps.
You know what that also makes me think of? The way that he's talking about them mining that mountain and it looking like a baboon, even though I think that might be a little bit of a stretch.
I agree.
But in the movie The Guardians of the Galaxy, they go to a place called Nowhere.
Giant head.
Yeah, and they were mining inside like this celestial's head.
Dude, yes, man. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this was like of course, you don't get the idea of the scale, but this was like the size of a city inside this.
They flew into it.
Yeah, right. This is massive. So this is for, I don't know, millennia or whatever. These people were getting their components for all their machines from this giant's head, this giant celestial's head.
So there's something there, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what word association Iker sounds like, because there's definitely, if that's a thing, there's going to be like other word associations connected to it.
Okay, I want to shift gears now because again, it's spooky that there's so many connections, and it is with our technology. But I want to shift gears to something that was causing quite a scene on social media because of course it would be. Check this out. Did you guys see this guy who looked like he was wearing a mask on Fox News?
At the end of the day, we're to have to need a government in Iran that not only hands over the nuclear material, stops threatening the Straits of Hormuz, but quits exporting the Islamic Revolution throughout the region, causing the collapse of Lebanon, Gaza.
Did Fox News just have a guy on wearing what looks like a mask? This man is a retired admiral, and his name is Robert Harward. Now, some people are saying this could just be from age, getting something called a turkey neck, or bad lighting. But when you look at this closer, it doesn't look like just some lighting issue.
Throughout the region, causing the collapse of Lebanon, Gaza, Yemen, Syria, and as well stop their...
Now, if it was a shadow from his collar, it wouldn't start off right here. Even watching me right now, you see a slight shadow right here, but you don't see crooked lines right below my neck. This shadow moves away from his skin as he speaks. Now, I'm not saying anything for sure, but once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Well, I was talking to my brother about it, and it's like, they obviously wanted us to see what that was. It's not even debatable. Like, there's no way.
Said, "Hey, maybe a turtleneck. You want to wear a turtleneck, or
so
like
the
at least a
question
mock
is,
turtleneck?
why did they want us to
button up
see
that
it?
top button?"
But they did. I saw a side by side comparison of the real version of him and that, and it's pretty close. But there are some very distinct differences. And one of the things that face doesn't have, his real face has a giant scar on his left cheek, a massive one.
Maybe we should get a guy who's really good at looking up scars and little freckles on people's faces and matching them up.
Don't.
Now, one day what we're going to do is we're going to host the show, and we're going to get makeup artists and mask makers, and we're all going to switch our persons around. So I'm going to be, we'll see how well we can fool
Tune
people.
Heart, and
yeah,
I'll be Demon Erasers.
Yeah.
And then I'll just be JT.
You'll just be JT.
We'd have to get a fourth person in here for this to work.
No.
And so I just get to stay JT. Yeah, give me.
And I'll just play my own videos, like I'm absolutely about to do right now. This is rare.
Wait,
that I
got something crazy. No. Hold on. I gotta tell you guys this. Listen.
Okay.
So, Ikaro means Ikaro in Hebrew. Ikar means core or main. Okay. In Basque, Iker means visitation. Isn't that funny?
Okay, so like you're connecting that blood type to.
Well, it means visitation. Yeah, it means like to visit. And so and then Turkish Ikar doesn't have distinct meanings. In Greek, Ikaros, which is Icarus, right?
Icarus is one of the
Icarus.
Characters in the Eternals.
He is.
Well, Icarus is the angel.
He flew too high. He flew too close to the sun. And
his wings melted.
But Iker, in Greek, so I found a thing. It says in Greek mythology, Iker is the ethereal fluid making up the blood of the gods and or mortals. The ancient Greek word, I can't even read that, is of uncertain etymology and has been suggested to be a foreign word, possibly the pre-Greek. And then it continues to go on. But there's a ton of companies named after this. There's an Iker Systems. There's an Iker Holdings. That's on Yahoo Finance. It's all over the place. There's videos of the golden blood, and so yeah, I would imagine you're gonna probably be able to go pretty deep with that one, Brian.
Let's stick on the mask for now, though. Check this out. So this is, I mean, it looks like a mask. It looks like a mask, but I agree with Aaron. They a producer, somebody's gonna see that, so they would say you can't go out there looking like that. Unless they wanted people to see that.
No, it could have been glued. It could have been glued on with the spirit gum, they call it. And actually, it's called spirit gum, by the way, that glues masks and face to it. And then the spirit gum would have just popped off
up
potentially last second. So I don't know. I mean,
I guess the thing is, if it was, a lot of these would be done live. So maybe, but they could have cut the commercial. But check this out. So you probably thought this was only something from the movies. Well, if that's what you thought, check out this interview.
I was chief of disguise.
What all did that entail?
The office I worked in was like the Q in James Bond. We were the queue for the CIA and the intelligence community. So there were different parts of it. Whatever you needed, if you needed a bug, if you needed secret writing or a microdot or a concealment device or whatever you needed, you had to come to us and we'll put something together for you. I mean, one that has to stand out. I went to the White House and I briefed George H.W. Bush, the president at the time, while I was wearing a full face mask. So we're sitting like this close together, and I'm telling him that I'm going to show him the best disguise that we have. And he's looking for a bag, like, where is it? I said, well, I'm wearing it, and I'm going to take it off. And I reached to start taking it off, and he said, stop. And he got up, and he walked, and he looked, and he looked at it. He didn't know it was a mask. He wasn't sure what I was wearing. He sat back down. He said, okay. So I took it off, and I was holding it up in the air so he could see it. My whole head. It had hair and a face and a neck.
So you could walk around as someone else?
Absolutely.
And that would be the disguise?
Absolutely.
So it kind of makes you wonder when you see pictures like this or video like this. What do you guys think? Seems like they always have to tell us, right?
Yeah, Biden had like tabs in his ears and everything, dude. It was so bizarre.
Well, like I mentioned this already, but that glue that they put these masks on is literally called spirit gum. And you got to like, what
Not
a weird
spearmint?
name. No, spirit gum. And you're like, why do they call it that? Because it's some kind of spirit you're embodying that is helping you put this mask on that's conjuring some kind of spiritual like identity or something
'cause
different.
Masks in general it's a ritual.
Yeah. It's really weird. They call it spirit gum.
But I mean,
I
yeah.
don't know
So
why
I
they
mean,
came with that name.
this is clearly a thing. I mean, it's like that's why they show you this kind of stuff in those Mission Impossible movies. Is that, of course, they do that. Like I said, I maybe referenced this on a previous show. That who was it? I forget. Was his name Bryan Cranston? I think that's his name. The guy who played Walter White in Breaking Bad, and he was wearing a mask, like he was wearing like a Walter White mask at one of these conventions, like one of these Comic-Cons. And he came up on stage and he was kind of like chilling with everybody. He was taking pictures with people. And then he was up on the stage later and he took the mask off, and it's actually the real guy. I mean, the mask was pretty realistic. You could kind of tell it was a mask in the thing. And I think that everyone thought it was a mask, but of course they didn't realize it was the real guy. But yeah, what kind of, it makes sense to me, especially when you see like if it was like Biden wearing a mask or like somebody was pretending to be Biden. That's why it would be beneficial to have like a real geriatric looking president, because the person's already got wrinkles and they're already like, a lot of what people would say is that Biden had plastic surgery. Well, because he's old, right? So he got a facelift. So you can almost rationalize why his face would look kind of funny, like why his eyes, like the way that his eyes looked in those one videos where it looked like his eyes were behind the holes in a mask.
It didn't look right.
And definitely on his neck when he like scratched his neck, it's like it totally wrinkled. That's not like the back of your neck usually doesn't have wrinkles unless you're like bowing your head back, right?
Isn't it interesting that allegedly they got rid of Jim Carrey after Joe Biden was out of the limelight? I don't know. I just kind of thought about that because that was one of the theories, right? Was that Jim Carrey was playing Joe Biden with a mask.
That's what somebody says. That's definitely what somebody says.
Well, that's what a lot of people say. Let's be fair.
Okay. Somebody's going to remain nameless.
You're asking for it, dude.
Yeah, somebody says that. Somebody says a lot of things.
Sun's out, guns out, looking for the heat.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk about some NASA tomfoolery. You guys want to do that? I thought this video I saw this on X, and I know Brian talked about this one time because he was talking about anti-gravity, but it's my opinion, it's my theory that when you see a lot of things floating around, they're not even there. And particularly, I'll show you a good example of the things that are not there. Actually, no, before we do that, I want to show you a video about this woman who's in outer space in one of these space stations, and there's all these little water droplets just floating around. Check this out.
Squirting it onto my scalp. And I have a mirror here so I can kind of watch what I'm doing. Sometimes the water gets away from you and you try and catch as much as you can. Then I just work the water up through to the ends of my hair. And I take my no-rinse shampoo and squirt it also on the scalp, just a little bit, and rub it in. Again, kind of working it out to the ends. And sometimes I'll actually take my comb to help work it all the way to the ends. And I like to take my towel while I have the shampoo in there and just kind of work it. Because without standing under running water, you kind of need to use the towel a little bit to help get some of the dirt out.
All right, you get the idea. But the thing that I wanted to point out was that, do you really believe that those water droplets were real?
I think, well, here's the more concerning thing, is that if they are real, where are they going? Just floating into their electronic devices,
just water everywhere.
It just floating about. And so that I think is more concerning to me, is that if they are real, then yeah. And to me, that looks really good. That looks real. To me, that looks real. So I would say that she's in some kind of anti-gravity chamber, which again, that's my hypothesis. I think that we do have anti-gravity, and that's why they're hiding. That's the only thing we have. We have anti-gravity. We can't go to space. But because we can create a static environment with anti-gravity, then yeah, I guess those water droplets, I mean, for me, I would say they could be real.
What do you think, Aaron?
I think they have anti-gravity for sure, but what gave it away for me on that one was the fact that her face was bright red and looked like it was about to pop from being hung upside down.
Yeah,
well, like you could tell she could barely handle any more of that blood rushing to her head. It was like, it was so obvious to me, like her face was so red.
But that could be an effect of an anti-gravity chamber. We just don't know, you know, like if you're in it too long.
She's upside down.
It seems to me that she's upside down, and there's probably some air consistently blowing on her to make some of those anomalies. Like, but look at the color of her hands compared to the color of her face.
Yeah, she's upside down.
She's about to pop, bro.
Yeah, she's totally upside down. Yeah, her face is beet red.
And
now,
you
check
can tell
this out. So
she's very healthy for her age. So like,
yeah,
I don't think it's a blood pressure thing.
Here's what I'll say for sure that it's fake. Now watch. Here's another video from NASA.
If it was truly anti-gravity, they'd be showing off the capabilities a lot more.
Well, that's what they're doing right there. Look at that.
There,
see, to me,
there they are.
Look at it, bro. Look at his eyes, though.
Oh, look at the way it stops too. Look at the way. Hold on. When it stops, it like glitches for a second.
Look at his eyes, dude. His eyes are not following it.
It doesn't just bounce back. It glitches out for a second and then it goes back. Yeah, his eyes are not following it at all. It goes, and then it bounces back. It goes,
Brian, is that water droplet actually there?
I don't know.
Why isn't he able to watch it?
Why does it wait so long to bounce back?
When your eyes track things, you know they don't follow smoothly. Your eyes actually like,
bro, he's looking the other way.
Jit. Well, I don't know what. I mean, like maybe he's been doing this for a minute.
Look, he's looking up.
Yeah, he's looking off there for sure.
Now he's looking in the wrong.
Dude, that's totally CG. That little ball is totally CG.
Yeah.
I want to know why it like glitches out when it hits the paddle and then it takes 2 seconds to bounce back. It's like it's got to think about it. And then it's like, oh, I got to bounce back.
Well, it's just a one repeat. It's just bouncing once. So it's actually repeating when it hits the paddle.
And why can't we
see
a
repeat?
His reflection behind it? It never changes.
Yeah, but it's a repeat glitch between the two paddles. It's like it's forward and rewind.
It's fake. It's totally fake.
Thank you so much for showing me that. I've never seen that before. That's obnoxious, dude. Oh my god.
That's the same thing. So like in the previous video, that woman, she's clearly putting something in her hair, right? Because it is getting wet. So there's liquid in that pouch that she's spraying directly onto her scalp. But then all those water droplets, they're going, Like, why would they go the other way?
Well, the fact that they're like floating out of the space is that, I mean, they're floating out of the area. They can get on any of their sensitive electronics and stuff and like fry their existence of living. Like, dude, that alone is problematic.
Yeah, it could have
Just having
fried her
floating
$5 million mirror she had
Yeah.
Velcroed to the wall in front of her.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like we often pointed out, is the fact that these women's hair only goes basically up or like out. But when you've shown people like in 0Gs, when they're kind of bouncing around, their hair
Everywhere.
is going around like
They're like
you're
tentacles.
Everywhere, normal.
like you're underwater.
Yeah.
So if water droplets are floating out, why is your hair only going straight up?
That is unusual for sure. Like, but she's
It's
brushing it that
unusual.
way.
It's not just unusual, it's fake, because the hair and the water would likely behave similar. Like,
Well,
like the hair would be going out too sometimes.
but here's the thing, like we know that the hair in older videos of the astronauts, remember the one woman whose hair looked just like a hairspray and it just stayed
It
so
is,
stiff.
yeah.
And dude, I tried to look for the videos of that astronaut. They're gone, bro. They took them off the internet. The one with the
believe that.
woman whose hair goes straight up and it's like it's so clearly boinging.
She was like an old school punk
like
rocker.
hairspray. Yeah, it's so obvious. But though you can't find that video anymore. They took it off, and all you can find is this woman. And so what I think happened is I think that there's the video of the dude that drops the playing card, and he has the playing card, and it just drops like gravity goes boom, and it drops straight down. And then he has something else, and the hammer like floats, right? But playing cards have a static field, and hair has a static field. And so I think that this is a defect of potentially whatever the anti-gravity technology we have is. I think static fields create a response that has things to behave in unnaturally. And I think what they've done with this woman is I think that they've figured out how to make the hair kind of be saturated with something that causes hair to not retain that static field, and thus you're getting these weird kind of responses. That's kind of what I think I see going on, because the old videos, they couldn't figure out how to make the hair move naturally. That's why all the old videos of the astronauts is total hairspray. It's just like hair sprayed up because of the static field of the hair. It wouldn't have done what it needed to do, or it would have just turned into
I think that
like
they used the hairspray
whatever.
when they're right side up, and what she was doing was upside down. And I think that what you're describing in that one video where the guy has the hammer and the hammer floats and the card drops.
Playing
The
card
card is
drops.
real. The card was there. The hammer is not actually there.
Okay, so
He was
that's
never
what you
holding
think
a
of
hammer.
the difference.
He's
Oh,
pretending to
okay.
hold a hammer, so when he lets it go, it floats because it's
Interesting,
actually
okay.
hello. It's CG. It's Hollywood magic. And these are not
I see. I
astronauts.
worked doing
They
CG, and I just don't think we were that advanced that well.
They are actronauts. Check this out. So
Yeah,
actually,
they're
I got to follow
astronauts.
up video.
I saw the video where they tell them they're actronauts.
Yeah, they're actronauts. Check
so
this out.
funny.
I cannot tell you how many people have said, "Oh, you're going to see the actronauts." The actronauts. There are still people who do not believe that this happened. How do you handle that?
I ignore it.
You ignore it?
Yeah, but not. I think that's maybe not even the right word.
It's
not how
yeah.
you feel about it either. We value we just value people. We just respect
Questioning.
people. And so it's not to dismiss them.
Right.
I don't mind that people ask questions or are. I want people to critically think about things and not just accept everything that they see. To me, it's speaking to some need that we're not filling. And I'd love to help them fill it. I don't know how to do it. But like we've talked about a lot, we don't carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We can just be us, be authentic us, tell our truth, and how it's interpreted is how it's interpreted. And as long as they're not hurting anybody, there's no issue. That's a beautiful
Can I share
answer.
one? I think it's important to acknowledge that sometimes those are people who want to be heard. And so I process it the same way I process people that say we're spending too much money on that and we have problems here on Earth. Sometimes all I need to do is listen. And I've actually had the best response from people when I did not try to say, hey, for every dollar we spend at NASA, it's $3 to $7 of return. Or to, hey, I've seen the moon and Earth from space. It's an ellipsoid. When I just listen, those are the best interactions with folks like that because they're not always trying to get an answer. They just want to be heard.
Yeah.
Just 4 dudes pretending to have gone to space.
It is like some cosplay looking LARPers there wearing their
Bro, we
NASA
made it into an
jumpsuits
interview.
at this meeting. Like, why are they wearing that?
Guys, we made it into an interview, guys. Do you realize they're talking about us? like, we just want to be heard.
We just
right?
want to be heard. That's why we got a
We just wanna be
podcast.
heard.
We
That's
want to
it.
be heard.
Yeah.
But these astronauts are bad astronauts. Like that woman, which is funny because I think she was in Mad Max Fury Road, or was he in Furiosa?
I didn't see a woman.
Who was?
There was a woman there in that video?
The one with long hair. The one that would have had their hair straight up when they showed them going to the moon.
Wait, she was an actor in a movie too?
Yeah, she was in one of the Mad Max movies.
What?
Yeah.
The astronaut was in an actual was in a movie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, bro. Come on, people. Like, what? That should tell you right there. That
Did
should
you
tell
even
you
see
right
like
there.
her bad acting, the way she made like a weird face? I just ignore him. And then the
She
one
was
guy's
an
like,
actor in the movie?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. She was
Furiosa or something, right?
Yeah, it was probably
Or Mad
probably that
Max
one,
Fury
the most
Road.
recent one. You see, what was her name? Like something Koch or something like that?
Dude, I don't even know.
Christina. Yeah. Koch Mad Max. Yeah, I guess she was in Fury Road.
Bro, that's freaking funny.
Show us
Yeah,
some
they don't have a
pictures.
picture on IMDb, but yeah, Christina Koch, she's credited as she's in that movie. I guess she's in the scene somewhere.
She was just one of the side characters, I guess.
There are pictures of her in that movie. I've seen
She's
them
one of
I
those.
guess she's in
She's
the
one of
scene.
those people.
You can.
I think she's the one wearing goggles right there to the left.
Yeah, she's in the scene though. So, anyways, yeah, she's an astronaut. And then even like the way, again, words have meaning, and the way that the one guy who was kind of saying, well, we give him our truth. What is that supposed to mean? I often make this point clear is that truth comes from God. We don't have a truth versus any other truth. There is the truth, and then there is somebody who's got a disconnected view of reality who they create their own truth. The truth is, I don't believe any of this is real. It all looks fake, and it does seem like that they're trying to sell it a little much. Again, going out in their NASA jumpsuits, like they're about to just go get on the space shuttle right after this interview. Like, why are they still wearing that? Like, they couldn't have given like a polo shirt, whatever to wear that had a NASA thing on it.
No, it's to sell the idea more. It's to like trip you up and to make you believe it more. It's so foolish and nonsensical. Let's put on our little costumes so we can make sure everybody knows we're the astronauts. Like, so stupid.
Here's one of the things for me. Okay, so just imagine that all three of us are on a beach. Like imagine all of us are in Antarctica and we're standing by the ice wall, right? And we're on a live stream. And they can see all three of us. We're all standing in the same place, like for real. And someone asks us a question about the ice wall, right? Are we going to all look at the ice wall and try to figure out an answer? Or are we going to look at each other like, what do we say? What do we say? If we're really there, we're not going to be looking at each other like, how are we supposed to respond to this?
Right.
We're just going to look at the ice wall and answer the question. And so it was the same thing when people asked them about if they could see stars, if they could see the stars and the planets. And that girl goes,
well, she even got asked supposedly when they got back and they were asking about it, and she like froze at one point when she was answering a question.
Yeah.
Like
that was the question.
Like, what is there, a teleprompter? I mean, like you're getting asked like the most basic questions you would get asked if somebody believed this was real. Hey, what'd you see? Was it cool? And then it's like how do you have a brain fart in that moment? It's a layup question. All you have to do is say, oh, it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I saw all these stars. The glimpse of the Earth from the moon was insane. Oh, it was so cool when we were going around the moon. We saw all these craters. Like a natural reaction to a question like that. But instead it was like, line? You know, it's like he's looking for somebody.
Right.
Give me the line. I forgot the line here.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they're actors, guys. I think they're under hypnosis. I think they're
but dude, she's literally an actor.
I know, but that's what I mean. But like, they're under hypnosis. They are actors that have been put under hypnosis to pretend a certain role, because a lot of those responses you guys are talking about are actually hypnotic responses. These are the things when people are under hypnosis, they respond in these certain patterns where it's like they get like sort of brain stuck and they don't know what they're doing or know what they're saying. And those kind of subtleties are things when someone's under hypnosis. And so they're like on the show trying to act like all altruistic. They've been fed a narrative. That guy was told, hey, you're supposed to, when the question comes up, I want you to say, these people just want to be heard, and talk about that. And then the people are under hypnosis, snap, go to, now you're an astronaut, be under hypnosis. And like, their responses are those of somebody that is believing the narrative, because it's not enough to put the weight of everything on these people. You know, it's not enough to put the weight of everything on them. They actually believe that they went to the moon. They actually believe that they're on a planet. And so their responses
I think it's also the response of a liar, a bad one.
Maybe a bad liar too.
Like,
maybe possibly.
It's like a bad. I mean, it could be that, but it seems more likely that they didn't train her well enough to answer basic questions about the
that's because it's not hypnosis. It's not into their programming, in their hypnotic programming. Because a real bad liar could lie much better than what they're lying about. You know, they would talk more normal, but the way they all talk is a specific patternized tone of like curated thought patterns before they speak. And so it's like they don't have like a direct personality that's outside of a certain type. You know what I mean? Like, there's no personality type. It's all the same. All of them. They're all like robots, kind of. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
If they're robots, we know where they come from now. Okay, I got a video. Hopefully this will be able to make it to...
Hey, they're astronauts because they've all been something to their butt, I think is what's happened to them. That's what I think. And they've all been molested and traumatized. That's why they call them that. Bro, that's what I think they call him that for.
Brian, the
whatever is righteous,
you know,
whatever is holy, whatever is pure.
I think they've been traumatized, bro. I think they've all been traumatized. You can't have an astronaut
without the A word. Okay.
Yeah.
I got this fits a little bit, and hopefully this will be good for JT's mixtape on YouTube. But this comes from a TV show, and I thought this is kind of telling about the space stuff.
You must examine all sides. Think this below. A perfect symmetrical form. But when we check more closely, the truth's revealed. Remember, check out every angle before you judge. Maybe getting only half the story.
How about that? Was he not saying something right there?
Star Trek was telling us what's up.
He was saying a lot. Dude, those memes, there are memes with him that are so funny, dude. Him just asking the most ridiculous questions.
How about that? That's a really interesting example that he used right there.
Dude, it's very revealing. I mean, like, you've seen from like witness testimony in a lot of court cases, like the human memory is so fickle. Like what people think they remember, you know, at like the scene of a crime or an accident or whatever the case is. It's like people they think they see things that they didn't really see, and then they tell themselves a narrative over time. And it just becomes more and more distorted of what they actually saw. But yeah, that dome he showed there at the end was, I feel like that was quite a slap in the face to everybody.
Especially the way that the lights were reflecting on the top of it that appeared to be like stars. Did it not?
Yeah, no, it totally did.
You know, the interesting part, I think, is that, you know, okay, so this is called this was on TV, obviously. This was some
it
show.
was like on the History Channel, Discovery Channel or something.
Yeah, so the channel, right? So when you guys understand what channeling is when you let something else feel emotions for you. So like if you watch a movie and you feel like crying because somebody died in the movie, you're channeling, actually. That's what channeling is. It's allowing something else to govern your perspective. Now, when you watch the YouTube channel or the television channel, a lot of times what's happening is like children get sucked into this stuff, right? You give a child an iPad and they're like, "Ooh," and they like sewn into the channel, right? And so what's happening is it's hijacking the brain reward system of your mind. And so him showing that is actually making you think that you've already figured it out and you've got the reward and understanding of figuring it out without actually perceiving the understanding fully. So what happens is like your brain, like you can watch like a YouTube guy build a rocking horse, right? You watch a video of a guy building a rocking horse and you get the same psychological reward that almost similar to what he got from building it just by watching him build it. But the difference is you think you can build a rocking horse now, when the reality is in a few weeks from now, trying to remember how he built the rocking horse, you're going to be like, duh. But he'll retain that data. He'll retain the knowledge because he didn't channel the knowledge. He actually got the knowledge by using it. So in the same aspect, you watching this, him putting this out there is like convincing people that, oh, you have been no longer tricked. You're not tricked anymore because you now know about the perception. But the reality is quite the opposite. You are now more liable to being tricked because you didn't actually learn that understanding yourself. You didn't take the time to perceive the knowledge to gain that perspective. You were just being channeled it. You were being fed it. And so therefore it will go into your brain, think you have that understanding, and then right out the other end. And you won't remember it in a few months. Like it'll be gone. Like I'm pretty sure I've seen that before a long time ago, but I don't even remember it.
You
And
channeled
this
it
is
before.
why
Yeah.
this is why we have such a huge responsibility to channel the Holy Spirit to everybody and share
Right.
the truth.
Right, but
Yeah.
And
do you think it could just be something as simple as Brian is what he's saying is that you can't always trust your eyes based at first glance. You actually need to look further into what you're perceiving.
Of course, but he's telling you that so that you will be deceived and won't ever do it.
I don't think.
That's
Well,
what
I
I'm
mean, that's
saying.
not what I got out of it. What I really think of, obviously, especially the way he ended it, is the idea that we're told that we live on a globe because when you're at the beach, a ship goes over the horizon and it went past the curve. But a lot of people who look into flat Earth, like like Dave Weiss and people like that, who've done, many other people, but they've done the experiments about like our perspective is that like the horizon is always at our eye level. Like you can go up in a plane, but the horizon still like rises. Is because like if you look down a hallway, like if you go like in a hotel, that's one example people use most often is that if you like one of these super long hallways, it looks like the floor is higher because again, it meets your eyes. So it looks like the floor rises up, but we know that it's level flat. And so the example that most globers point to is, the ship went past the curve. But now, obviously, people get like a P1000 camera, and it turns out, no, actually, it didn't because you couldn't zoom in and get the ship later. It's like a lot of the globers talk out of both sides of their mouth where they say, the Earth is too big to perceive the curve. But yet, when the ship goes over the horizon, it's gone on the other side of the curve.
And they've
Right.
demonstrated that with cameras on tabletops. Just setting the camera close to the tabletop and then moving like a paper ship on the tabletop farther on the table, moving it out of the camera's view, and it looks like it's going over the horizon.
Same thing with the sun, right? Sunsets, right? People have
Right.
shown that where it looks like the sun had already set, and then you can zoom in on it, and it's actually just gone further away. So it eventually goes out of your because if the horizon always meets your eyes, well, eventually the sun will go so far away that the horizon will be obstructing
Exactly.
it because it's too far away. So that's I mean, it seems like they rubbed it right in your face, especially when he walks next to a globe and then he shows this thing. And that's one of the most common things that globers will point to saying, well, all the other planets are spheres. So therefore, do you think that we live on the one flat thing? But what they actually are, they're circles.
Yeah,
Do
because
we know?
can't
Like, do we
see them
actually
in
know?
three
Like,
dimensions from here.
we're seeing like the flat side. We're seeing like the one dimension of this object that's in the sky.
We're
Do we
seeing them in
know that they're
2D.
spheres?
Yep.
So, but again, that's what they always point to. So, as he just showed you, that thing clearly looked like a globe, and then he turned it over, and It was
Well,
only
it's
a
a half
dome. It
globe.
was half of one.
It was a dome.
But that's the thing is like the things in the sky, like we look at the moon has craters that are circular in the center. And as it gets to the edges, those craters turn out oblique. They start to get oval looking. And so that oval looking crater stuff all over shows us that the moon is at least a half dome, if anything.
Well, I guess the point is what this should be showing you is that you can't trust your eyes at first glance at something. Like because again, we're seeing one dimension of this object, and I think that's often what we're limited by what we can perceive. So just because something looks a certain way does not mean it absolutely is that way.
For
that's what
instance, JT thought I was like 5'2" because I'm always so low on my frame, and then he met me and realized I was 6'3".
Right.
So
You know, actually, Brian and Aaron are both much taller than I am, but of course I'm closer to the camera, so maybe it looks like that I'm almost Nephilim size.
But that is a real example though. Like we get things in our brains based on something that we see, but it's not just because of what we see. It's also what we're telling ourselves what we see. And that's influenced by so many different things. By the way, that show was called Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction.
Yeah, I remember that. That. I did see something like that.
So many good little nuggets from that show.
Well, they made so many memes from that show when they're saying, "Is history correct? Not a chance. No way." You know, it's like you say,
no way.
There's like a 3 or 4 minute like loop of that show where he asks the most absurd questions and then answers them immediately after, and they're the stupidest questions ever. We're gonna have to share that at some point. So since we're on like a laughing spree, I thought before you leave, Brian, you got to see this. This is actually like, it shouldn't be as funny as it is, but it is unfortunately extremely funny.
He didn't have the faith.
And there was no reason to part it. There was what was the purpose?
Was that the same guy who predicted, was it September 19th that Jesus was coming back? Remember?
It might have been. Definitely could have been, for sure.
Man.
But he got a different revelation. I forgot to carry the one, and it was like, actually, it's next year.
Yeah.
That made me laugh, though, when I saw that. I figured I had to share that. The second he turns around, starts running from it. It's like, oh my gosh. I'm sure if there was a reason, right? If there was there's 1,000 little baby sea turtles down there that needed saving, I'm sure he would have allowed them to split the sea and save them or something. I don't know. But that's a lesson in blaspheming the Holy Spirit, right? Like, trying to do things just for the sake of doing them, that's never going to work out well for anyone.
Well, it's like a guy just trying to say that he's a prophet, and then, signs accompany prophets. So, I'm legit if I made the C part.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you also have to have the doctrine right. So it's more than just that. But yeah. Let's stick on the theme of biblical cosmology or flat earth. Check this out.
SR-71 Blackbird. Recognize it?
Yep.
It's shaped like a razor blade. Why?
Non-detectable.
Well, non-detectable and aerodynamic, right? And so if there was like a bolt sticking out on this thing, it would rip it apart. This thing goes Mach 3.2, and it's going Mach 3.2. It can't turn left or right or up and down because it has to only go straight because of the forces. Well, if the Earth is a globe, it would have to nose down 800 feet per second just to follow the curve. But that's a whole nother story. So there's no paint on it either because the paint would burn off due to the friction of this aerodynamic design. But then we have the side of the Artemis rocket. This is like a PVC pipe that goes all the way up the rocket. If you find a big picture of the rocket, you'll see, look at this right angles. You got these protrusions out here like Legos.
And that's going faster than that plane, correct?
10 times faster.
Oh, boy.
10 times faster.
Well, there goes that idea.
Very suspicious. I mean, because some people will say this, and they'll be wrong, because I'll prove them wrong in 1 second, is they'll say that oh, well, when they get to space, there's no friction, right? But it has to get to space first, right? As we talked about it before, they were saying that. So look that up. Like, what is Mach 3.2? See, wait, how fast does the SR? Yeah, how fast?
2,455.261 miles per hour.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it goes like 2,200 miles an hour ish. Well, I think we were talking about when the Artemis rocket first launched, that within 4 minutes, I think it's going like 6,000 miles an hour. So it's going almost 3 times that fast. So wouldn't it be all breaking apart? And as he said too, he also said that this thing can't turn when it's going that fast. But we see the rocket going.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? It's like we've got so much footage of people from the ground, which, by the way, the people that were there filming it had different footage than the footage that they showed on.
Well,
the
they kept on
news
cutting
stations
out of they kept on cutting shots for no reason.
Yeah.
Well, no logical reason. They kept on cutting away to a different shot.
Yeah, but like we all saw it, and it didn't matter which version that you watched. You could tell enough by looking at it, like it was not going Mach anything.
Didn't look like
it was not going Mach anything. And also, if it was going that fast, like you would see, like, because there was some pretty close up footage of it. You would think you would see like the wind like ripping off of it, or you would see like you know what I mean? Like you would see.
Yeah.
You would see something like I don't know, because like when you see those planes fly and they kick into like Mach 1, Mach 2, they like rip the air. It like puts condensation in the air because it like rips through the air so quickly. And there was none of that. There's just nothing about what we're told for those missions adds up. Nothing.
Yeah, so I just looked it up. It said, so Artemis, it says within 2 minutes after launch, it was going 4,000 miles an hour. So basically twice as fast as the SR-71. And it says by the time it used to get to like the edge of space, 62 miles up, it was going 10 to 13,000 miles an hour.
By the time it's out of our sight,
you would think it would need to be, it's funny because it does seem like you would need to make it very sleek. Like I said, I remember watching that movie. Was it about The Aviator about Howard Hughes, when he was first trying to have like the fastest plane? Yeah, he was talking about how he couldn't have the rivets on the outside, like the bolts for the way the panels were. He needed them to be sleek because you're going to go really fast.
Yep.
So this is Howard Hughes. What year was that? Was that like back in like the 30s?
Yeah, probably earlier than
30 or 40s or something.
30s,
It was a long time ago. I could be off by a decade, but it was a long time ago. And so it was the way the plane he was making looked like a bullet because it goes fast as a bullet. So like if you're making this rocket, like it makes no sense. It's obviously very similar to when you see like the lunar lander that we've clowned on a million times, where this thing looked like it's a mess.
It was the 30s, by the way.
Okay, right. The 30s. Yeah, so in the 1930s. So we're talking about almost 100 years ago that they were making these planes like that without the rivets on the outside in order for it to go super fast. And now we have these things, and it is interesting. A lot of people pointed out that it almost looks like, just like Biden's neck, this rocket had like wrinkles on it. It almost looked like, was this a giant balloon? This is like one of those things you get, like, when you go on a speedboat and you get pulled by on one of those things, those yellow banana looking things.
One has to wonder. Yeah, because they're basically saying by the time it got to the Bermuda Triangle, it was going 12,000 miles per hour.
Okay, I got another video. Speaking of everything being fake and gay, check this out. This is, you can't really believe in anything anymore, other than God, of course. But what they show you is pretty much all fake. Check this out.
Here's your reminder that the closed door button on your elevator hasn't worked since 1990. It's been a placebo for 35 years. When the Americans with Disabilities Act passed in 1990, it required elevator doors to stay open long enough for someone in a wheelchair or crutches or a cane to get inside, at least 3 seconds. Elevator manufacturers responded by disconnecting the button or just not wiring anything to it in the first place. The head of the national elevator industry confirmed it. No passenger can close those doors any faster. The only ones who can are firefighters and maintenance workers, and they have like a special key, but for everyone else, it's just decoration. And most crosswalk buttons in major cities don't work either. In 2004, New York City admitted that most of their pedestrian crossing buttons had been deactivated ever since they switched to computer-controlled traffic lights. A Harvard psychologist, Ellen Langer, actually explained this by saying, quote, "Perceived control is very important. It diminishes stress and promotes well-being," meaning we don't actually need the button to work, we just need to believe that it does. So next time somebody asks you to hold the door open and you keep pressing that closed door button, you're just revealing your true colors.
Reminds me of all the toggles they give us on our phones to turn off the privacy settings, or to turn on the privacy settings, just to make people feel better. It's like when the Meta glasses came out, Mark Zuckerberg's like, they're not always on. You can turn them off. You can turn them off. You can turn the camera off whenever you want. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, sure you can, buddy. You can turn them off whenever you want.
Yeah, you can.
We
yeah,
can't.
You need to be like a professional. You need to be like a firefighter to turn it off. But,
so wild.
But just that thing, especially at the end, it's pretty revealing what they actually just said at the end of that video. And I don't know if the guy he kind of maybe was hinting at, he knew what I'm about to say is that he was showing like the people being puppeteered, on strings. And as we talked about last week when we were talking a little bit about politics, the illusion of control.
Yeah.
Is that exactly what they're talking about? Where it's like, those votes haven't mattered for a long, long time. Maybe at some point they did, but they certainly don't now. So you're casting that ballot in that booth and you're thinking, well, I have a say in this. You have the illusion of a say. You have the illusion of control in this system. But no, they haven't allowed our votes to count, I mean, since who knows when.
If ever. I can't see, like, okay, so if you think about it, this is my logic. Regardless of what we know or what we think we know, if you and me and a bunch of buddies just like us are hell-bent on running things and running the world, why in the world would we leave anything to chance? Why in the world would we leave anything to chance when we know that the general public, the useless leaders of the world, are more than likely going to make decisions that go wholeheartedly directly against what we're trying to do? So the only natural solution in that situation is, let's let them think that let's give them what they want, and then we'll still get what we want on the back end. We just got to figure out how to smooth it. I mean, it just makes sense, dude. It just makes sense.
Well, yeah, they could have if they cannot influence us to do what they want, well, then, yeah, they have a backup plan. So they're not losing their power regardless. So I'm not going to say that the votes have never counted, because maybe they did. I mean, obviously I think
locally they do. I think on the local level too.
There's a lot more ways for tomfoolery now with mail-in ballots, these computer voting machines. But back in the day, they probably counted the votes. But at the same time, they always talk about the golden rule. I bring this up all the time. The golden rule is, as a Christian, it's do unto others as you have them do unto you. But the way the devil's world works is, the golden rule is, he who has the gold makes the rules. What did it say? What was it? Mayor Rothschild that once famously said that if I control the banking, if I control the finances of a nation, I care not about his laws.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, yeah, these people, they've got too much at stake that they're not going to say, oh, well, they really like this independent candidate who's against, like, trying to change this system that we've spent ages creating. That ain't happening.
No, I agree with that. On that note, though,
when a sailor would feel seasick during a storm, they would tell him to go to the bottom of the ship where the rocking is less severe, therefore putting him under the weather. Naval hero Horatio Nelson was blind in one eye. During battle, he was signaled to retreat, so he raised the telescope to his blind eye and claimed he didn't see the order, so he could continue on with the battle and win, therefore turning a blind eye. Bags of extra baseballs are placed on the field each game. And in 1916, the New York Giants were on a 26-game winning streak. Out of superstition, they started picking up the bag of balls in the 9th inning. They felt like this would ensure their win because they would have captured the game in the bag. In 1709, John Dennis invented a way to simulate thunder in his plays. His plays flopped, but he went to another play where they were using the same method. He stood up in the middle of the play and shouted, "That's my thunder," therefore making the term of stealing someone's thunder. In ancient India, it was customary to throw butterballs at statues of gods. It was their way of asking for protection and forgiveness, therefore buttering them up.
I thought the Indians threw poo everywhere.
That's what we were taught.
Not butter.
That's what we were taught. Yeah, that's what we were taught.
You know, it's funny. I know that Brian and we had a podcast where there's a lot of idioms that we only use half of. You ever heard those? Because I remember he made sure that like we were kind of like the full versions of some of these, and they were always much darker and much weirder. Like when you added like the second half of the idiom. But yeah, that is really interesting, Kat, because yeah, where did it come from other than what she's saying about like the games in the bag?
Yeah, dude.
It makes sense. Yeah, you're picking up the bag. You got a bag of balls and you're picking it up because you're about to leave.
Got it in the bag. And then the
Got it
under
in
the
bag,
weather one
turning a
made
blind
perfect
eye.
sense.
That's an interesting
Yep.
one.
Yep. Makes sense to me.
The stealing the thunder is kind of funny. Hey, they stole my thunder.
That's my thunder.
No, that was good. Yeah, that was good. Under the weather. That's a really interesting one. Yeah, because it is interesting just to, because Brian had to leave early. If you guys are not aware that he's not talking, we're not just ignoring him. Is that what Brian would often talk about, and Aaron talks about the same thing too, is that like the idioms that we're using, the words we're using, the phrases we're using, when we really have no idea what we're actually even saying, well, we just use these phrases, and you do kind of wonder sometimes, yeah, like is this a spelling thing? Are we casting spell? Like, is our words having meaning? Like, oh, he's under the weather. It's like, how many times have you said that about somebody you know? You don't even, like, we don't even know what it means.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean to be under the weather? Aren't we kind of always under the weather if like the weather's coming down?
No, dude, we curse ourselves all the time, man. Like a lot of those things a lot of those things have very dark origin stories. And a lot of the things that we say just haphazardly are literally cursing ourselves. And we don't even think about it. We just say them without even knowing the origin stories. It's pretty crazy. That was just a few of them. There's some pretty wild ones out there.
But yeah, I mean, again, it does kind of give you more want to maybe go look into some of these things because, yeah, like I needed to catch myself doing that. Even we were talking about the one time, I think it's before you got on to mixtape, like the terms like holy moly, even holy crap, holy cow. I think they all come from the same thing. I think it's about veneration of sacred bulls and like the golden calf. Like holy moly, does that come from Moloch? Now, maybe it doesn't, but as I mentioned the poo throwing in India, they revere cows and bulls as sacred. And if you think about the ancient Israelites, you have this golden calf. Is that not a holy cow? So we just say those kind of things and we really don't even understand what we're actually saying because we're just repeating something that's being said. So when you say holy-ish or you say holy crap, that's why they don't clean up the crap on the streets in India in some places because they consider it came from some kind of holy cow.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
No, I stopped saying that one a while back because I'm like, dude, there's only one that's holy. So like, I'm not going to blaspheme him by calling crap holy because I would say that like quite a bit. There's so many of it's funny. I can't think of any of them right off the top of my brain, but there's so many things I've had to stop myself from saying. I'm not even talking about like swear words or anything like that. Just little phrases that we pick up over time that we say and then we don't ever think about. And they're either blasphemous in some sort of way or they're dark in nature or they're cursing ourselves. And it's
or
like,
just like,
man,
just think about the idea that like how words meant one thing, or words mean one thing, but then they're used in the complete opposite way, like saying, "Oh, that's bad A," or like, what I'm saying? That's like,
Right, right.
that's awesome. But like when, I mean, this is before this, but I know that when Michael Jackson came out with the album Bad, it's like, if you called an album bad, it's like it had a meaning before that was not good. But
Yeah.
then bad was like, oh, he's bad. He's
Yeah.
bad. That means that it actually means that he's good.
Well, even things like these are some things I've had to stop saying. Like when someone's driving you crazy and you say, "Oh, they're driving me crazy," or "I'm losing my mind," or "I'm about to lose it," or I'm freaking out," or or people say nowadays when someone says something, they say, "I'm dead." They say, it's like, dude, don't curse yourself like that,
tripping.
man. Yeah, there you go. That's a better one. That's a better one.
Say, I'm
But it's like,
tripping. You tripping,
there's
dog.
so much power in the words that we speak. And so we can't be doing that, man. We can't be talking about ourselves like that. We can't be saying that stuff. We can't be owning that stuff. I actually rebuke that stuff out loud if I ever say it now, and then I find another way to say it. But dude, it's still one of those struggles where I'll say something like that, and then like I'll catch it, or Sarah will catch it. She'll be like, no, you're not losing your mind. And in my mind, I'm like, I kind of am. But then I'm like, no, I rebuke that. Like, I'm not owning that. I'm not claiming that. Like, and so I got to find another way to say it. But it's crazy how ingrained in our psyche phrases like that are.
Or even calling each other like dogs, right? What up, dog?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, right?
I kind of wonder if that came from it. I know I've mentioned him on the podcast before, that there was this former rapper named Unplug Him. He's got a pretty, he's a Christian guy, got a YouTube channel. And he kind of talked about a lot of the culture that suburbia picked up from the black culture of rap music. And then he's saying, where did they get it? They got it from like the boule, and they got it from these secret societies, like all this real esoteric stuff. So even like calling yourself dog, like, what up, dog? Well, dog backwards is God. Even some of these guys would call each other, like, was it back in the Wu-Tang days? What up, God? They'd call each other gods. And you think about, it's got the G. What up, G? Where do you think the G comes from? The G comes from the middle of the compass and the square. The grand architect.
Many say that's
but the thing is, like,
Gilgamesh, but
we're using some of these things, and like, do we know exactly what they mean? Like I said, the crazy one for me is when he was showing these old like Freemasonry illustrations, and when they showed like the b-boy stance, when they're doing like this, he was showing that they were standing and they had their feet kind of splayed out like this. And the reason their feet were like that, because they were on one of those checkerboard floors. And I was like, dang, so that is, and I said, again, our enemy is not stupid. So he's infiltrating, and this is Unplug Him's words, this is not mine. He's saying, these guys can barely read, and then they're dropping all this super esoteric Freemasonry, secret society knowledge into their music, into the culture. And then white boys like me back in the 90s are saying, I want to, you kind of emulate these rappers. And so you go from, like, it comes from like the devil to these secret societies, and then it comes into the rap music, and then it comes right into white bread America. And we have no idea what we're talking about, because all we're doing is trying to emulate some famous rapper who doesn't even know what he's saying either.
Yeah, because we mimic everything that we see. It's like without even understanding. And dude, make no mistake, nothing that's done in the limelight is done by mistake. There's a reason behind all of it. There's a purpose behind all of it. So it's like, if you're learning from them, you're mimicking them, you're doing the things that they're doing, it's because they want you performing a ritual of some kind. They want you cursing yourself. They want you performing a ritual. They want you conjuring, all of that kind of stuff. Dude, you brought up something. I saw this unfold in real time the other day, and it blew my mind. I can show you right now if you want me to.
Sure.
But remember when you brought up the fact, you played that video of Billy Corgan talking about how they intentionally killed rock and roll?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They intentionally changed it? Okay, so you remember back in the 80s and 90s, those Salon Selectives commercials? They were all over.
I think so.
Salon Selectives. They were all over. It was like a hair thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so So Sarah and I were talking about this the other day because like that's one of our stems is like we start singing something and then we both start singing something and we can't stop doing it.
It's kind of like the JT's mixtape, the outro.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we started watching some of these old commercials. As we were watching these commercials, so there was like a conglomeration of these older commercials, like the ones in the late 80s, early 90s. They were all like rock. Like solo selectives, like hard drums.
It was like Michael Bolton.
Yeah, like
not a ballad.
Butt rock ballad stuff, and it was like bold.
It was more like
rock
White Snake.
Stuff. Yes, dude. And then all of a sudden, 96 came and it's all. They made this hard transition from rock to like R&B, hip hop style beats. It was so obvious, dude. It was such an awkward shift. We both noticed it like immediately. We're just like, and it reminded me of what you said. And I was like, dude, that was right. That was the time frame. That's when they would have started making that shift in the late 90s.
Yeah, it's all connected. Is that when it's that clearly choreographed that all the culture moves away from it. And I think the one thing Billy Corgan was absolutely right about is that they don't promote rock music, even though these guys even these geriatric rock stars still sell out stadiums. So clearly there's a market for this, but they don't want people to listen to that. They don't want young people to listen to that. So obviously it's older people who like to go to those concerts, but honestly, it's like the way that things are cyclical, the cycles of things. I mean, it makes sense that like when my kids were young, you go into the toy stores and you know what kind of toys they're selling? They're reselling the same kind of toys that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense that, you know why? Because you know what would be so cool to get your son a Transformer because that's what you liked. That's what I liked. You'll buy him Indiana Jones stuff, Star Wars stuff. You'll buy him Transformers. All the same kind of things. Like He-Man and stuff is back in the movie theater.
Re-releasing all the He-Mans right now, dude.
So what you end up doing is that there's a nostalgia for the people who are going to buy it, the parents, and then they get the kids to do it. So like a lot of this kind of stuff that from the 80s, that's why people love the Stranger Things vibe, that it's a throwback to E.T. So the music starts playing on the shows, and eventually, guess what? Young kids today think, oh, you know what? There was some good music back then. They go listen to the 80s music. So it's not something that if they gave it that push, like the industry could, that there would be glam rock would be back tomorrow if they said they wanted it back.
There was this, I agree with that. There was this interview with the lead singer of Rage Against the Machine. And he was talking about how they filmed the music video. I don't remember what the name of the song was, but the music video, you'll probably remember, the music video was like filmed on Wall Street. They filmed it like in New York.
Was that Bulls on Parade?
I don't think it was Bulls on Parade. It was in that time frame though. It was in that same era. And they were filming this music video out in front of like one of the courthouses or something on the street. And they had like what's the guy that filmed Fahrenheit 9/11?
Michael Moore.
He was filming and he was doing like all the production stuff, and their plan was, we're gonna film you guys performing out here until they arrest you, and we'll get it all on film, because that was the whole point. Like they wanted to capture that, they wanted it, and he's like, we'll bail you out, we'll take care of all that. They played the whole song and nothing happened. And then by the end of the first song, the cops were all down below just watching them. So they played it again, recorded it again. They started to amass this massive crowd. They played it a second time. By the time they were done with the second time, they were getting ready to play it a third time. There was this massive crowd of Wall Street, like the very types of people they were singing against.
Right.
But they were all out there chanting for Rage Against the Machine. They had them all rallied up and they had them chanting their name, wanting to hear more music.
By the end, they were all screaming, "Kill Whitey."
But dude, but like they ended up playing it 3 times. And my point is just that they had these people wrapped around their fingers by the time they were done playing it a 3rd time, because that's the kind of power that rock music carries in person. When you can, especially when you're live performing, right? Not playing the tracks, not playing to, there's a different energy when you're a rock band that can play that well. Because, dude, like their musicianship was incredible. Their bass player, their drummer, their guitar player, phenomenal, world class. And so, I mean, and Zach De La Rocha, he was the lead singer. But like, they were incredible musicians and incredible artists. And so when you have people that can play that well together and write that kind of music and command that kind of performance live, it does something to people. Like you captivate them, you take control. And so that is a perfect example of what you were talking about. They didn't want bands like that having that kind of control over that large of a sect of people anymore. And that's absolutely why they started doing that. Because people like hip hop and they like dancing and all that kind of stuff. But that's the thing with that kind of music. They want to dance. That's why it's in clubs and stuff like that. Like, it's pretty harmless. They just want to dance in clubs. But rock music, dude, people want to rage.
Well, I think what it seems like is that there's again the Hegelian dialect where they want a rebellious spirit to go against the man, against the government, but then they lull them back in at some point. And then it's like all these guys, Rage Against the Machine. Now people call them Rage for the Machine after 2021 and them saying you had to get jabbed before you go into their concerts and all this stuff. Like I said, it's crazy that those are the guys advocating for that.
It's absolutely
they draw you back in, and they lull people back to sleep. And so maybe it's a situation where, I mean, I don't know, all of these people work together, but they wanted to rage against the machine back in the 60s against traditional values. And then eventually, like, this rock and roll spirit goes, and then it's like, cut off the spigot, right? Just turn off the tap. And now it's like the same thing with, like the black communities with the gangster rap. This is again, all against the man. And then you see now these guys are they're dressing up like fairies, and they're like the corporations love them.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's such a farce. And I got one more video in this. I think it'll be safer for the YouTube version, but the subject matter is dark. I don't know if you saw this, Aaron.
You gotta check this out. So the Mets are receiving a lot of controversy with what they did with Tom Hanks a few days ago at one of their home games. Now, usually at these games, whenever they show a celebrity, they just show them up on the big screen, they wave, and they go to the next celebrity. But this time, they decided to reenact a little scene, and this is from the movie Castaways. But a lot of you know this symbolism, not just from the movie Castaways, but if you're an OG, you know that there is a darker side to this symbol. Now, I don't know if they were trying to portray that. I'm just saying there's 2 sides to every story. Now, you can see that the mascot has the symbol on his head, and then they start to reenact something in person where Tom Hanks writes something on the piece of paper. He turns it around and it says, "I am not allowed to talk." Now, there are a few celebrities who have worn this symbol, and it also had a lot of controversy behind it. You can see Ellen DeGeneres and Jay-Z, they're both wearing, it looks like the same sweatshirt. I think it's an off-white sweatshirt, and then Lady Gaga, who literally dressed up as this. I'm just saying that this is very interesting, and this is why we root for the Yankees, not the Mets.
Did you see that?
It's disgusting. I don't even want to acknowledge knowing what that is. I wish I didn't. That's horrible, dude.
We talked about it a little bit because after the Jeffrey files came out, that Hillary Clinton got dragged in from some committee, and she got asked about that symbol. She was asked specifically about Anthony Weiner's laptop that had something about that. And she got asked about that. And we're not even going to get into all the details about what that is. But even like the Tom Hanks connection. Obviously this was popularized in that crap movie Castaway, which is terrible, terrible movie. I can't stress how bad that movie was. And it probably was just about putting this wicked symbol on some volleyball or whatever it was, or soccer ball.
Wilson!
And, it's so stupid. So stupid. This movie was just This is back but this is before I had any kind of eyes to see any of this stuff. Everybody loved Tom Hanks back in those days. He could do no wrong. He was obviously doing lots of wrong, but this was this big blockbuster movie that ended up being like a commercial for FedEx. I think it was really what the movie was about. So, anyways, the point being is that they put this out in this movie, and then when people make the connections, in these kind of communities, he said, the OGs, we know what that symbol means, and it's a dark, dark, wicked thing. And then he puts up that phrase, "I can't talk."
Dude,
I'm not
that's what threw me off, dude, is saying I'm not allowed to talk. And that's what creeped me out about everything that you just showed me, because that was during the lockdown when the rumor was that
he went to Greece, right? Didn't him and his wife moved? Didn't they? Are they dual citizens of Greece? Something like that?
I think so, but they allegedly during that time they got held up by the government, and they were staying in some sort of facility, some sort of government facility, and being questioned and interrogated. And that was right around the time when all of the Hollywood celebrities were allegedly running out of their serum, if you know what I mean. And they were tripping out, and everybody was wanting to hear from Tom Hanks because evidently he was the ringleader. This is all alleged, of course. This was the theory going around back then, and everyone wanted to know what was going on, and they were all freaking out. And the rumor was that they were all afraid he was going to give them all up and tell on them all, and their whole ring was going to get destroyed. But then all of a sudden he shows up in a video or in a picture with Oprah, and who was with Angelina Jolie?
I can't remember. I kind of know what you're talking about. Wasn't it? Was David Geffen's boat or something?
All I know is
I think it was David Geffen. So David Geffen, I think, famously, he's was a music producer. Did Michael Jackson work with David Geffen?
I think so.
Yeah, just these people are just. Hillary Clinton calls the people who vote against her deplorable, but these people, again, every accusation is an admission with these people.
I'm looking for the picture. I found video footage of that moment, but I can't find a picture of it. Let's see here. Oh, Gayle King, Oprah Winfrey, Tom Hanks.
Oh no, that one. Okay, there was another one. I think that all those people were on the yacht with David Geffen.
But this is where, dude, come on. Why is this? You see what it says, right?
Yeah, it says I'm not allowed to talk.
I'm not allowed to talk. So that's where that came from. And look, he's got a black eye. She's got her hand on him. There's a clock. Who knows what that's saying?
What's that in the back? What's that? What is that?
Meat and hot dogs. Those are hamburger patties and hot dogs in between them.
What is? I'm curious. I'm curious what Snopes says about this.
Let's see. A real photograph shows Tom Hanks with a black eye standing between Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King, showing he is part of a black eye club. That's what the claim
It's
is.
miscaptioned. Wait, what did it say?
And it's
the photograph is authentic, and it was taken by Oprah Winfrey when she and Gayle King went to see Tom Hanks perform a play. However, it is not clear that Hanks is sporting a real black eye in the image. It's not evidence of them being in part of a quote-unquote black eye club.
And it's that's not even what we were focusing on. We're focusing on all the other weird freaking crap that's taking place. And what is this picture? It's all obviously but why this? And look how rough he looks. And why would they reenact that at that baseball game? So bizarre, dude. What a weird thing to reenact.
Well, I'm not allowed to talk is not from the movie that they're referencing.
No, it's from that picture.
Right.
It's from that picture.
That's really suspicious. It's well, here's what it's saying to me is that it's incidental, or this is just the revelation. The method is the Castaway movie showing the frazzled drip image, right?
you
That
said
is like, that's the revelation of the method. But the reference into this baseball game is not referencing the movie. It's referencing whatever was taking place with Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King. Because
Exactly.
otherwise, he could have just, you know what he would have done if it was just about the movie? He would have said just what Aaron said. Wilson! He would have done something stupid, and they would have just said, ha ha. Everyone would have said, oh, yeah, that's that from that movie.
Exactly.
But instead, everybody else is like, all the boomers at home are like, what does that mean? I don't remember that part in the movie.
Yeah, they showed a picture from the movie, allegedly, but then they shared a phrase that wasn't in any movies. It was only from that picture.
That's code. I mean, the whole thing, that's the thing with Tom Hanks and his Instagram feed or his Twitter feed at one point. Because, of course, it's funny that one of the original conspiracies I got wrapped up into when I was on TikTok is people were accusing me of actually being Isaac Cappy. And so Isaac Cappy famously kind of came out of the Hollywood scene, and he was accusing people like, what's his name? Seth, what's his name?
Wait, people were accusing you
They
of
were
being
saying-
Isaac Cappy? What?
Before
How did I miss that?
Before the one guy who says everybody's a fallen angel or a Mason, before he came out, they were saying that Isaac Cappy wasn't really dead. It was actually me. You never heard that?
No, dude. I've never heard
It's
that.
silly. I mean, I'm not, by the way, but the point is that Isaac Cappy was calling out Seth Green, and he was particularly calling out Tom Hanks. And then supposedly not supposedly, after Isaac Cappy wind up falling off a bridge or being thrown off a bridge into oncoming traffic, what did Tom Hanks, like, what was it? He had some really cryptic Twitter message, and it was like one glove or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, dude. It was really creepy. He had pictures of like missing shoes being on the ground, like kids' shoes.
Yeah, it was weird.
And gloves and weird stuff. Now here is a much more likely theory. Okay, so there's Cappy, of course. This is David de Rothschild.
I think they look quite a bit different. What do you think?
Do you really?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see.
Look at that and that. They're both right there. Turn the face to the side. Change the hair a little bit. I don't know, man. I couldn't find a side by side. I really feel like they look very, very similar.
Okay, so he tweeted this like right after it happened. Wrap gifts at handkerchiefs. Bespoke perfection and gorgeous. Colin Hanks knows his handkerchiefs. And so, yeah, he's got like a red handkerchief right here. I think that was it, right? Or was it something else weirder than that?
I honestly don't remember, dude. There were so many weird things going on right around that same time.
Okay, so this was his tweet. But yeah, he did have some other.
Oh, wait, no. I think I know what you're talking about now. There was something he did. Yeah, there was a tweet that he shared, and there was a cap. Some kind of a cap was on the ground. There was a few things on the ground, and one of them was a cap. And it was right after they found Cappy unalived.
Well, it's saying here, I looked up the Reddit thing. It says that red scarf symbolizes someone talked and got whacked for it.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah, so that's the references people made. And of course, Tom Hanks, I know a lot of people probably already know this, but I thought like the real hidden message in Forrest Gump when he did the as above, so below. So when Jenny, the villain of the movie, gets on the bus to leave him again, and he does the peace sign, and they pan back, and it turns out he's actually doing as above, so below. Just like the Baphomet.
Not a coincidence, obviously.
That was one of those ones where somebody said that he did that, and I had to go watch the movie. I said, no way. Like, that's too on the... There's no way they did it that bold in that movie, Forrest Gump. Sure enough, They did. They did.
Yeah, no, they did. They definitely did. I feel dirty just even looking some of the stuff up and revisiting it. It's so dark, dude. That stuff's so dark.
Yeah, I think before we go any further, we should probably just end it here today. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. If you guys want to watch these episodes early and uncensored, please consider supporting this podcast over on Patreon. Also, if you want to support this podcast in different ways, you can grab a t-shirt. There's merch available. Also, the sponsor of this podcast is Modern Roots Life. It's a great time to get healthy and support a great Christian-owned company and a great podcast that you love. Also, one more thing. We also have a coaching network over at the echoesoftruthnetwork.com. If you're looking to share stuff on social media, become maybe a YouTuber, just share reels, however you want to do it, maybe you don't know how, and Aaron and myself can potentially help you do that. Regardless, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching. And if you did watch to the end, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. I love you guys. See you next time.
JT's mixtape, now a show about history, faith, and truth, with the sound and the conversation we've never heard before. JT's mixtape, now there's a podcast that has exactly what we've been looking for all of us who will not compromise. Listen, JT created mixtape for us. Woo!